do this. All right. Welcome in, everybody. Hope you're having a amazing day. My name is Garrett Shumake, and you are listening to the Shumake Take. This is episode 8, and we're finally concluding covering the NFL draft, covering my top prospects. And today, I did say we were going to do linebackers Wednesday, but I just not had the time for it, so I threw it in here today, and it's going to be a very, very long episode because we got top 5 linebackers, top 10 DBs, and at the very end of it all, I'm going to do a full first round mock draft with no trades because I can't predict how trades are going to happen. So I'm not going to try and throw my hat into the ring there. So I tried to do my best for each player, picking the best player available and picking off a need, try to find a good balance of both. But overall, this was a very fun episode to put together, and I'm going to be recording Rants 4 immediately after this. My uncle is flying in this evening, so I have to get this all done before he gets here. So without further ado, let's move to the computer, and let's talk about these prospects right now.
Alright, we're now at the computer, and we got to talk about the top 5 linebackers in the draft. And starting with number 1, we have Edgerrin Cooper out of Texas A&M. I have a first round grade on him, but ultimately I think he's going to fall to the second because of positional value. And he is 6'2", 230 pounds, only 22 years old. And last year he had 83 tackles, which included 93 solo tackles, and they had a 90.8 PFF grade. From Covington, LA, from Covington High School under coach Greg Salter, this player transformed from a 4-star recruit, ranked 115th nationally and 9th among linebackers, into a cornerstone for the Aggies defense. Despite a modest freshman year with minimal playing time, his trajectory soared remarkably, and by his sophomore year, he was a regular contributor, amassing 39 tackles and showing prowess in both coverage and as a pass rusher. His junior year saw further improvement with 50 tackles and enhanced coverage abilities, leading to a senior year where he dominated with 58 tackles, 56 stops, and 10 sacks. Alongside with his on-field achievements, he earned AP All-American and first-team All-SEC honors in 2023. Getting into his strengths, he has very elite overall athleticism with an incredible burst, with a 1.54 10-yard split at the combine, and speed combined with long arms that give him huge upside. He also, talking about that speed, it enables coverage of tight ends and running backs on deeper routes and effectiveness in Tampa 2 drops or as a QB spy. He also has very fluid movement and change of direction skills, which complement his man coverage, rarely leaving him out of phase. It's not just that his physical speed that's good, he also has quick recognition of gap runs, often outmaneuvering linemen to the spot with his sideline-to-sideline range. He also has effective use of his hands and long arms to slip blocks and wrap up tackles, demonstrating a wide tackling radius. He also shows promise as a pass rusher with an impressive closing speed, notching 10 sacks in his senior year. He also has good size and length for a modern will linebacker with an uncanny ability to make plays and finish tackles. Overall, this makes him very versatile, capable of contributing in coverage against the run and also being a disruptive force in the backfield. And he also has a proven track record of being a playmaker, evidenced by his consistent play behind the line of scrimmage and in coverage. Some things I'd like to see him work on, or is that one thing he really can't work on. He lacks the ideal frame and strength for the NFL, needing to bulk up to better withstand and disengage from blocks. He occasionally also misjudges speed in open space, leading to missed tackles more against agile opponents. His own coverage awareness requires some improvement, and he's prone to getting distracted by backfield actions. And he also struggles with consistency and taking on and shedding blocks, often opting to evade rather than confront, and that just has to do with his size. And he also plays with a high center of gravity, making him vulnerable to blockers and affecting his ability to change direction quickly. Overall, though, heading into the NFL draft, Edgerrin Cooper emerges as a dynamic prospect with a high motor and elite lateral quickness, embodying the archetype of the modern NFL linebacker. His tape at Texas A&M underscores a multifaceted skill set capable of dropping into coverage with ease, sideline and sideline pursuit, and disrupting the backfield with regularity. However, his frame presents a double-edged sword. While his agility and speed allow him to cover ground rapidly and engage in pass coverage effectively, his lighter build could see him struggle against power run game formations at the next level. Cooper's versatility, being scheme versatile with an ability to play in multiple fronts, makes him an enticing option for defensive coordinators looking to deploy him in a variety of roles, from a coverage linebacker in a nickel package to a blitzer in passing situations. In the NFL, Cooper's immediate fit appears to be within schemes that prioritize speed and versatility over traditional linebacker roles. His skill set screams a 3-down linebacker in a 4-3 defense where he can leverage his coverage skills and quickness while being protected from head-on collisions with interior linemen. The challenge for NFL teams will be bulking him up without sacrificing his speed and his explosiveness, enabling him to shed blocks more effectively and hold his own in the trenches. His draft stock is buoyed by his proven track record of making plays in space and his knack for timing blitzes, projecting him as a Swiss Army knife in the right defensive scheme. Overall, Cooper offers an intriguing blend of elite athleticism and football IQ, with the only question mark being, of course, his size and ability to adapt to the physicality of the league. If he lands in a system that can harness his strengths and develop his areas of improvement, Cooper could evolve into a cornerstone defender, capable of altering games with his versatility and playmaking ability, similar to Fred Warner. The best fits I have for Edgerrin Cooper are Green Bay, because of his physicality, and same thing for the Chargers and the Eagles. They both lost players in free agency at linebacker and had below average to horrible play last year, so adding Edgerrin Cooper definitely would give them an immediate turnaround in my opinion. Number 2 on this list for linebackers is Payton Wilson out of North Carolina State or NC State, and another guy I have as a first round grade but will ultimately fall to the second because of positional value, and he is 6'4", 233 pounds, and 23 years old. And last year, he had 138 tackles, 69 solo tackles, and an 89.9 Pro Football Focus grade. Raised in Hillsborough, North Carolina, and an alumni of Orange High School, this guy was a multi-sport standout, excelling in lacrosse, wrestling, and also winning a state championship in the latter. His commitment to North Carolina State followed by a highly successful high school football career, where he was recognized as a 4-star recruit. And despite facing significant adversity, including 2 ACL tears, one as a senior in high school and another one as a freshman, so back-to-back years there, and also a shoulder injury in 2021, his resilience has been remarkable. Across his college career, he's been a formidable presence on the field, evidenced by over 80 tackles and 10 tackles for loss in both 2020 and 2022, and a dominant 2023 season where he had 138 tackles, 17.5 tackles for loss, 6 sacks, and 3 interceptions, leading him to be named the ACC Defensive Player of the Year and winning the Bernard Award in 2023. It's great to see Wilson put on a show at the Combine, especially considering the adversity he's overcome with 2 ACL tears and a serious shoulder injury throughout his college career. The medical evaluations will be crucial for him, yet he has managed to compile 2 years of consistent injury-free play, with 2023 marking his most impressive season. As the ACC Defensive Player of the Year, Wilson completed his outstanding on-field achievements with remarkable combine results. His 40-yard dash time at 4.43 was unmatched, standing as the fastest record for linebackers that day. And we just talked about it a second ago, he won the Bernard Award for the best defensive player in college football. Well, last year he also won the Dick Butkus Award for the nation's best linebacker. And getting into his strengths, Payton Wilson has enough speed to chase and run in pursuit. He has the overall athleticism to hold up in space while dropping into coverage, and along that he has lateral speed as well, and tough, violent tackler with a non-stop motor. He also shows good awareness when dropping into coverage. He also made Bruce Feldman's freak list at number 48. He wrote that he was a champion high school wrestler who has vertical jumped 36 inches, and coaches say he will easily run the 40 in a 4.49 to 4.54 range. Of course, he ran faster than that, but he ran a 4.43. And adding on to the elite speed and acceleration, he can cover sideline to sideline with ease. It makes him a constant threat in space. He also has impressive agility and fluidity in coverage, able to read the quarterback and make impactful plays in the ball. And he also has exceptional tackling ability, combining strong hands and leverage to bring down opponents efficiently. He also has been shown to have a high football IQ, showcasing instincts that allow him to be a step ahead of plays and disrupt offensive schemes. He also has been shown to have a robust work ethic and resiliency, overcoming significant injuries and returning at peak performance levels. And overall, he has a very versatile skill set. He's effective in blitz packages and capable of contributing in multiple defensive schemes. And he also has strong leadership qualities, proven by his ability to inspire and perform under pressure. And adding onto the IQ, he's excellent in diagnosing plays with a knack for being in the right place at the right time. Getting into some of his weaknesses, of course, it's the history of significant injuries, so it raises concerns about his long-term durability and availability. But size-wise, he has a leaner frame and below average length, which potentially affects his ability to shed blocks against larger NFL linemen. And although he's a great tackler and has great IQ, occasionally he can get over-aggressive, and this will lead to missed tackles or overrunning plays. And he may need to further develop his strength to handle the physicality of the line of scrimmage at the NFL level. And as an older rookie, his window for peak performance might be narrower than other prospects. His draft protection is a complex blend of high-ceiling talent and injury history concerns. His college career, punctuated by his Defensive Player of the Year honors this year and the Benardrick Award along with the Dick Butkus Award, showcases his undeniable impact on the field. His athleticism, coverage skills, and sideline-to-sideline speed fit seamlessly into the NFL's demand for versatile linebackers. Despite the injury setbacks, his recovery and performance, especially at a standout combine showing, indicate his resilience. Given the history of his injuries, these assessments would be critical in determining how high Wilson goes in the draft. However, his performance when healthy, including his remarkable stats in his final college year and his athleticism at the combine, suggests that he has the potential to be a mid-first round pick. Although this is when I think of him as a talent, he will fall to the second because of positional value. But to conclude, his journey from a highly touted prospect facing adversity to an NFL draft pick will be a testament to that resilience that he has, making him one of the more intriguing stories of the draft. Some of the best fits I think he could go to, Green Bay and Dallas are the top spots for me given their need at linebacker and how they like their linebacker specifically as a play style. But Tennessee is an underrated option for me. While wide receiver and left tackle are the biggest needs on their team, it is most likely will be their first two picks, their first and second round pick or vice versa. But if they decide to trade down at the second, he could be picked up and filled what is their third biggest need at linebacker. Getting into our number 3 spot, we have Jeremiah Trotter Jr. out of Clemson. I have a mid to late second round grade on him. He is 6'8", he's 6 foot, 228 pounds, 21 years old. And last year he had 87 tackles with 54 solo tackles and an 85.7 PFF grade. He emerges from St. Joseph High School with high expectations as a five-star recruit according to ESPN and a 4-star talent by 24/7 Sports. He took his counts to Clemson, joining the Tigers, and his transition from high school to college was absolutely seamless. In 2022, his role was expanded significantly after seeing minimal action as a freshman playing in 13 games. Playing in 13 games, he impressed with 55 tackles, 20 assists, and 41 stops over 615 snaps. In coverage, he added 3 pass breakups, 2 interceptions, and an outstanding QB rating when targeted of 44.5. Highlighting his versatility and impact as both a pass defender and rusher, he also further established himself as a force against the pass, recording 22 total pressures, 10 QB hurries, 6 QB hits, and 6 sacks. By 2023, he had solidified his reputation as a cornerstone of the Tigers' defense. In over 12 games and 689 snaps, he continued to build on his sophomore year with the 54 tackles, 24 assists, 37 stops, and his coverage metrics remained robust with 2 pass breakups, 2 interceptions, along with a QB rating on target of 82.7. As a pass rusher, he generated 27 total pressures, including 13 QB hurries, 7 QB hits, and 7 sacks, showcasing his relentless pursuit and ability to disrupt the backfield. Beyond its on-field achievements, Trotter Jr.'s football lineage is notable, with his father, Jeremiah Sr., having carved out a 12-year NFL career, including 2 All-Pro selections with the Philadelphia Eagles. This rich family background in football has undoubtedly influenced Trotter Jr.'s development and approach to the game, imbuing him with a deep understanding and passion for football that is evident in every single play. Getting into his specific strengths, he is very competitive and plays energetically, often overcoming bigger blockers with his top-level motor. He also shows good speed and closing bursts when blitzing, and one of the best coverage linebackers in the draft that has Fred Warner-like traits. He's also quick to read the run, showcasing good agility and speed to get past blockers and finish, experienced in coverage, and gets a strong jam on outside receivers. He also demonstrates superior eye discipline, adept at reading quarterbacks in zone coverage, and also shows outstanding hand-to-eye coordination, effective at disrupting passes. He possesses the range to cover sideline to sideline, which is crucial against outside runs, and he's also a powerful hitter, showcasing his physicality in downhill plays. Along with his downhill ability, he excels as a blitzer, utilizing his speed and technique to pressure the quarterback effectively. And with his football lineage, he has football in his blood with natural instincts honed in from his father. Getting into some of his weaknesses, he does face challenges when it comes to run defense, and he often struggles to maintain ground against offensive linemen. And he also shows a tendency to bypass blocks rather than confront them, potentially compromising his gap integrity. And he's also prone to mistiming tackles, leading to inefficiencies in open field scenarios. And along with that, he displays moments of indecision when faced with complex offensive plays, which will affect his positioning. And while he has high motor and is relentless, his overall physical strength is not elite. Some of them think he looks like a jacked up safety. To conclude, Jeremiah Trotter Jr.'s ability to particularly in pass coverage and as a pass rusher highlights his readiness for the professional level, and his athleticism, football intelligence, and lineage suggest that he possesses the foundational qualities of an impactful NFL linebacker. However, his effectiveness in the NFL will hinge not on just these strengths, but also on addressing areas for improvement, especially in run defense and the ability to hold up to the physicality of the pro game. While his pass coverage skills and ability to generate pressure on quarterbacks stand out, concerns about his performance against the run and taking down blocks may be seen as a concern. His tendency to evade rather than confront blockers head-on and occasional lapses in tackling precision can be exploited at the next level. These weaknesses, though, are far from insurmountable, and they will necessitate focused development and potentially a strategic fit within defensive schemes that can leverage his strengths while minimizing exposure against run-heavy schemes. The future is bright for Trotter Jr. as he prepares for his transition to the NFL. With a proven track record of growth and adaptation, there is every reason to believe he can refine his technique against the run and get bigger and stronger. His unique blend of speed and agility and instinctual playmaking ability, coupled with a mindset driving him to continually improve, position Trotter Jr. as one of the top linebackers in the 2024 NFL draft class. Getting into some of my top fits, Philly is my best fit, paying homage to his father. Same thing for Washington, although Washington is another one of these teams that are actually desperate for a linebacker. But lastly, I really like Kansas City here. I think they need more of a long-term solution at linebacker, and although he would start as a depth piece, their defensive coordinator, Steve Spagnuolo, he loves his linebackers, so this pickup makes a lot of sense for me. Getting to our number 4 guy, we have Junior Colson out of Michigan. I have an early 3rd round grade on him, and he is 6'2", 238 pounds, and 21 years old. Last year, he had 89 tackles, 40 solo tackles, and an 81.7 PFF grade. And Junior Colson emerged from Ravenwood Heights School as a 4-star recruit, transitioning from soccer in Haiti to American football. And at Michigan, he quickly made his mark. And as a freshman in 2021, he played in 14 games, amassing 36 tackles, 20 assists, and 2 pass breakups over 521 snaps. And his pass rush numbers added 8 pressures, including a sack. In 2022, in 13 games, he had 660 snaps, 56 tackles, 37 assists, and recorded 3 sacks. And by his junior year, in 2023, his stats remained robust over 13 games, 54 tackles, and contributed with 10 total pressures in pass rushing. Throughout his Michigan tenure, Colson earned second-team All-Big Ten last year, and also got a Lot Impact Trophy he was a Lot Impact Trophy finalist in 2023, and received third-team All-Big Ten honors last year in 2022. And his journey from Haiti to becoming a defensive stalwart at Michigan highlights his adaptability and growth, setting the stage for a promising future in football. Getting into some of his strengths, he has very impressive coverage skills, and he's able to stay in phase against running backs and tight ends. And along with that, he's quick to diagnose play action, showcasing fast reaction times to get to depth and landmarks and just be overall where he needs to be. He also shows really strong run defensibility, adept at sifting through chaos and making key stops, and is a very effective communicator pre-snap, ensuring defensive alignment and awareness. He's a consistent tackler with the ability to use body weight effectively to bring down opponents, and he has the speed and agility to cover vertical routes and contribute effectively in Tampa 2 schemes. He demonstrates overall good instincts and the ability to read the quarterback's eyes in zone coverage, and brings a physical presence to the field, willing to engage and take on blocks. Some things that I'd like to see him work on is that he struggles with changing direction quickly due to tighter hip flexibility, and he's also occasionally hesitant against zone runs, leading to late gap fits or misreads. He's also inconsistent in using hands against the run, leading to difficulties in disengaging from blocks, and he angles against outside runs more shallower than normal, allowing faster backs to beat him to the corner. And he also lacks the downhill aggressive mentality that limits playmaking opportunities in the backfield. Overall, though, Junior Colson's collegiate career at Michigan has positioned him as a versatile linebacker capable of making an immediate impact in the NFL. His ability to make plays in various defensive schemes, particularly in coverage against tight ends and running backs, makes him a valuable asset in today's pass-heavy NFL offenses. While his run defense and block shedding need refinement, his athleticism and football IQ suggest that he can adapt and grow in these areas with good NFL coaching. Teams looking for a linebacker who can contribute on all three downs and excel at coverage will find Colson appealing. His work ethic and upward trajectory suggest that he could develop into a starting linebacker with the potential to exceed expectations at the pro level. However, his immediate fit may be as a rotational player at first on defense and in special teams, where he can use his athleticism and tackling skills while adapting to the NFL's speed and physicality. His blend of skills and potential for growth make him an intriguing prospect in general, and if he can quickly adapt to the professional game and refine his technique against the run, he has the makings of a quality NFL linebacker. And with the right team and coaching staff, he could carve out a significant role and become a valuable piece of an NFL defense. His journey from Haiti to the NFL draft is a testament of his resilience and dedication, qualities that will serve him well at the next level. Some of the best fits I think would be best for Junior Colson are Dallas, Cleveland, and New Orleans. Dallas, of course, needs a linebacker with plenty of upside. Cleveland doesn't have a long-term solution, and New Orleans could use a solid depth piece here. And now, getting into our number 5 linebacker, we have Cedric Gray out of North Carolina. I have a 3rd to 4th round grade on him, and he is 6'2", 234 pounds, and 21 years old. And last year, he had 121 tackles, 64 solo tackles, and a 74 PFF grade. In his first year as a significant contributor as a sophomore, the former 3-star recruit Cedric Gray played in 12 games on 676 snaps for the Tar Heels, and he recorded 68 tackles, 35 assists while adding 30 stops, and in coverage, he made 1 pass breakup, 2 INTs, and an elite QB rating when targeted of 48.8. As a pass rusher, he chalked up 12 total pressures, 6 QB hurries, 4 QB hits, and 2 sacks on the year. In 2022 as a junior, he played in 13 games on 918 snaps, made 107 tackles, 32 assists while making 34 stops, and in coverage, he had 3 pass breakups, 2 interceptions, and a QB rating when targeted of 90.7. As a pass rusher, he produced 20 total pressures, which included 14 QB hurries, 5 QB hits, and 1 sack. In 2023, he allowed playing time in 12 games and had a total of 880 snaps, and added 80 tackles, 31 assists, and 34 stops, and while in coverage, he made 3 pass breakups, 1 interception, with a QB rating when targeted of 79.0, and as a pass rusher, he tallied 21 total pressures, which included 9 QB hurries, 7 QB hits, and 5 sacks on the season. Getting to his strengths, he made Bruce Feldman's freak list at number 41. He rode at 6'3", 270. At the time, he was just 11.3% body fat, and vertical jumped at 36.5 inches, broad jumped 10 feet, and bench pressed about 390 pounds. This offseason, he topped over 20 miles an hour on the GPS and did 6 pull-ups with a 70-pound belt attachment. And the big thing for me is his explosiveness. It's essential in both the run and pass game, and he boasts 3 years of starting experience, which brings a wealth of knowledge and on-field savvy. And he's also been shown to be an effective QB spy, particularly against mobile quarterbacks, showcasing his adaptability. Along with his experience and his explosiveness, he also has a high motor, which gives him relentless effort and make him a constant presence on the field. He is also well built with great mass and density. His physical attributes contribute to his tackling prowess, which complements his impressive instincts and coverage skills, capable of making significant plays in pass defense. His blitzing capabilities and speed through gaps make him a formidable pass rushing threat, and his ability to take on and shed blocks, combined with a knack of making impact plays, highlights his overall defensive versatility. Getting into some things I'd like to see him improve upon, his missed tackles have been a big concern with the need to improve leverage and tackling form. He also struggles with shedding blocks and can be overpowered by offensive linemen at the point of attack. Along with the missed tackles, he occasionally over-pursues plays, which can lead to missed opportunities and chuck runs against. And his instinct and run defense sometimes lag, leading to early gap abandonment and missed tackles, and requires refinement in man coverage and recognition of passing concepts to elevate his game further. His draft profile presents a mixed bag of elite athleticism and areas needing polish. On the positive side, great sideline-to-sideline speed, high motor, and blitzing prowess make him a disruptive force on defense. His ability to cover ground quickly and engage effectively in space positions will make him a quintessential will linebacker in the NFL, suited for a scheme prioritizing range and versatility. Gray's knack for making plays in both the run and the pass, highlighted by his solid pass breakups and ability to spy multiple quarterbacks, underscores his potential as a 3-down linebacker at the pro level. However, his game is without its drawbacks, of course. Concerns about his tackling technique and his tendency to miss tackles and struggle with shedding blocks are glaring. Additionally, his instincts in run defense sometimes will fall short, leading to over-pursuit and missed assignments. These areas of improvement are crucial for Gray to address to maximize his impact on the field and avoid becoming a liability in tight situations. The transition to the NFL will test his ability to adapt and refine these aspects, as pro offenses will exploit any consistency issue in tackling and gap integrity. Overall, he represents a high upside prospect with the athleticism and versatility that NFL teams covet in a linebacker. His explosive playmaking ability, coupled with his relentless effort, makes him a potential day 2 pick with the promise of developing into a solid starter. And honestly, for me, I think he's a great fit overall for any team that needs a linebacker. He's very versatile, I love his physical tools, and anyone that picks him up could develop him into a gem of a player. Now we have to get into my top 10 defensive backs. And my number one corner is Quinyon Mitchell out of Toledo. I have a mid-first round grade on him. He is 6 foot, 195 pounds, 22 years old. And last year, he had 41 tackles, 18 pass breakups, and 1 interception. And he comes from Williston High School and was rated a 3-star recruit by ESPN and was handed a 3-star grade by 24/7 Sports. And after committing to Toledo in 2020, he saw little action as a freshman, but as a sophomore, he played in 13 games and played nearly 600 snaps, making 33 tackles, 2 assists, and had 9 stops. And in coverage, he had 5 pass breakups, no INTs, and a QB rating of targeted of 78.2. As a junior, he played in 13 games and contributed on 837 snaps. He had 31 tackles, 2 assists, and had 14 stops, and had 16 pass breakups, 5 interceptions, and gave up an elite QB rating when targeted of just 32.4. And then in 2023, he had 781 snaps, 39 tackles, 6 assists, and made 12 stops, and in coverage, he had 14 pass breakups, 1 interception, and surrendered an impressive QB rating when targeted of 49.0. Getting into his strengths, he made Bruce Feldman's freak list at number 46, writing that he bench pressed 225 pounds 21 times, squatted 44, and had a top speed of 23.5 miles an hour on the GPS this summer. He also ran in the 40 and the 4.3s twice for NFL scouts this spring. Mitchell's teammate running back Jaquez Stewart, an alumni of powerhouse Miami Northwest High, who once won state titles on the 100-meter dash and the 4x100-meter relay, also made this list. The 5-foot... Why is he talking about this running back? Okay, we need to continue. He displays exceptional field vision and zone coverage, adept at predicting and interrupting the quarterback's strategy, and showcases impressive route recognition, allowing him to read effectively to aerial threats. And he is known for his tenacity in tackling, especially against receivers where he isn't hesitant to engage physically and assert his presence. And his ball skills are among the elite. He exudes a natural instinct for the ball, translating into significant pass deflections and interceptions, becoming Toledo's defensive backbone. He carries an overall versatile skill set, comfortable both in man and zone coverages, though he shows an exceptional aptitude for zone schemes, where his ability to read the game truly shines. And lastly, his linear quickness and burst are assets in closing gaps and providing recovery, making him a daunting prospect for opposing quarterbacks and receivers alike. Some things I'd like to see him work on. Number 1, despite his speed, Mitchell's transitions can sometimes lag, reflecting a hesitance to trust his instincts fully out of breaks, leading to occasional vulnerabilities in coverage. And while he's effective against receivers, his tackling of running backs in open space can be inconsistent, often resorting to shoulder hits rather than secure wrap-ups. His agility and fluidity, particularly when changing direction or responding to intricate routes, have room for improvement, potentially impacting his efficiency in man coverage scenarios. And lastly, while his anticipation and vision are his high strengths, refining his backpedal and transitional quickness can elevate his ability to disrupt plays and capitalize on interception opportunities. Overall, he has the tools to make an immediate splash in the NFL, but he's got some polishing to do first. His game tape from Toledo showcases his knack for locking down zones and having an impressive burst of speed, crucial for tallying deep fronts or tailing deep threats and landing solid hits on receivers. He's got a natural nose for the ball and is not shy about mixing it up physically. That said, he's got to sharpen a few areas. His transitions from reading the play to making his move can lag, giving savvy NFL receivers an edge, and while he throws his weight around against receivers, his technique tackling bigger backs needs more work, more wrap up, and less shoulder. He's shown potential in man coverage, but it's more raw than it is clean, and fine-tuning these parts of his game will be key. In the bottom line, his raw talent and physical tools are there, and he's a playmaker, no doubt, but the jump to the pros will be a big one, and success will hinge on how well he can refine his technique and adapt. With the right coaching and a grinded-out attitude, Mitchell could turn those raw skills into a serious asset at the next level. I think the three best fits for Quinyon Mitchell are Pittsburgh, Philly, and Jacksonville. Jacksonville has a couple guys on contract years, so adding a young guy with great physical tools is paramount for them. Their new DC also just got a career year out of AJ Terrell and will also coach Marshawn Lattimore for a number of years. So he's going to get the good coaching for sure. Pittsburgh also needs a corner definitely to pair up next side of Joey Porter Jr. They released Patrick Peterson, and I think Levi Wallace was a free agent, so definitely will need another young guy to throw back there. Although he has high upside, and I like the coaching that he would get in Pittsburgh as well. Denver is also a sleeper option for me. They need a corner next to Surtain, and given that he has an extension looming in the near future, and add on to that in terms of where they're picking and the value of players where teams lie, he could be, it's not their top need, but by the time they're on the clock, Quinyon Mitchell might be the best player available. But I just mentioned them, we got to get to Philly. Their pass defense was absolutely horrendous last year, and against Tampa in the playoff game in the wild card, it was awful. It was straight awful. And they absolutely need a corner in this draft. And if I'm Howie Roseman, he needs to get this guy almost at all costs. They're picking lower in the draft, and so it's very possible he's not going to be there. But if you have an opportunity to trade up and get this guy, I think you have to. He has so much upside. I love his ability in zone coverage. And I think that's a guy you need to pull the trigger on if you're the Philadelphia Eagles. Going into our number 2 guy now, we have Terrion Arnold out of Alabama. Another guy I have a mid-first round grade on. He is 6 foot, 189 pounds, and only 21 years old. And last year, he had 63 tackles, 12 pass breakups, and 5 interceptions. Hailing from John Paul II Catholic High School, he was a 4-star recruit according to ESPN and received a 5-star grade from 24/7 Sports. And after committing to Alabama in 2022, he played 9 games, taking 549 snaps at cornerback, and his season included 35 tackles, 8 assists, 7 stops, 7 pass breakups, 1 pick, and a quarterback rating of 82.5 allowed. In 2023, he increased his playing time to 13 games with 780 snaps, and his performance also improved with 47 tackles, 13 assists, 21 stops, along with 12 pass breakups, 5 interceptions, and an elite quarterback rating of when targeted of 52.5. Getting into his strengths, he possesses an impressive frame with ideal height, solid build, and length for a cornerback combined with good speed. He's confident and technical in man coverage, demonstrating physicality along the route stem. He also shows patience and aggression at the line of scrimmage, especially when playing inside, and he also has efficient footwork, allowing him to mirror receivers effortlessly in man coverage. Along with his footwork, he has very fluid hips and great explosion, which aid in transition and recovery phases, and his aggressive approach to downhill plays against screens make him a threat in the backfield. And that aggression isn't just plain old aggression. He's a consistent, heavy-hitting tackler and wraps up well, and honestly could play safety if he ever moved there. And overall, he had noticeable improvements in his zone coverage abilities since his freshman year. Getting into his weaknesses, even though his improvements in zone coverage skills as a freshman are notable, he's only average still as a zone corner. And in cover 3 leverage, he needs to trust his athleticism more and not allow easy completions on stop routes. Also, when there's no threat in his zone, he must process cross-field threats quicker. He kind of just tends to sit in his zone and watch his zone compared to reading the whole field. And while he shows some growth, he is still less comfortable when playing in the slot, and occasionally will misjudge ball trajectory on deep passes, leading to overcommitment or underestimation of a receiver's reach. And while he's physical, he can be prone to drawing penalties due to overly aggressive play in man coverage. Overall, he emerges from Alabama's football crucible as a high-caliber corner for the NFL draft. His transition from safety to cornerback showcases not just versatility, but a keen aptitude for defensive back play. With a robust blend of size, agility, and overall decent speed, Arnold fits the prototype for an outside corner capable of shutting down opposing receivers. His play style is a blend of physicality at the line and fluid coverage skills downfield, make him a nuisance for receivers in man coverage. However, He's not just a one-dimensional player. His improvements in zone coverage overall highlight a growing football IQ and ability to adapt to complex defensive schemes. This aspect of his game will be particularly appealing for the NFL teams seeking a corner who can operate effectively in various defensive setups. As Arnold steps into the professional arena, his ceiling is as intriguing as his current skill set. Teams needing a corner who can contribute immediately while still having room to grow will find Arnold's profile particularly appealing, and he enters the NFL draft with the potential to develop into a cornerstone player in an NFL secondary, combining the physical tools and on-field intelligence that are hallmarks of top-tier defensive backs. Some of the best fits for me are the Colts, the Rams, and Pittsburgh. All these three teams need corner help pretty bad, although, of course, more Indy in LA than Pittsburgh. But at the same time, I could also see LA and Indy drafting another player over a corner. So it'll just be a matter of positional value for me of how they view Terrion Arnold as a prospect compared to some of the other edge rushers and defensive tackles to help a team fit or needs that they also respectively have. Getting into our number 3 guy, we have Nate Wiggins out of Clemson, another guy that I think will go in the first round. He's 6'1", 173 pounds, and only 20 years old, the youngest guy here on this list. And last year, he had 28 tackles, 6 pass breakups, and 2 interceptions. And coming out of Westlake High School as a 4-star recruit, he quickly made his presence felt at Clemson. As a freshman, he played in 7 games, recording 2 tackles, a pass breakup, and allowing only a 50.3 QB rating when targeted. His sophomore season, he had 25 tackles, 9 pass breakups over 12 games. In his junior year, he really flushed out for 23 tackles, 4 pass breakups, 2 interceptions, and allowed a meager 44.4 QB rating when targeted. Overall, his incredible stopwatch speed, showcased by his 4.28 at the combine. He was the fastest corner by far, and he is a burner. But with that, he combines height and arm length optimally for an outside cornerback role, providing a physical edge in coverage. He also shows proficiency in both off-man and cover 3 zone, utilizing a fluid press bail technique. And he also excels at managing and contesting vertical routes, effectively maintaining positioning and showcasing competitive aggression at the catch point. He also demonstrates patience and strategic use of eye discipline and footwork in man coverage scenarios, and is quick to close gap space between himself and the receiver, effectively using the sidelines as a second defender and on vertical routes. He's also very skilled in reading and reacting to route concepts from a distance, enhancing his ability to disrupt passes, and displays overall excellent quickness and agility in his movements with a knack for timing and anticipation on pass defense. He is also capable of leveraging his physical attributes and coverage skills to limit offensive options and create challenging throwing lanes for quarterbacks. Getting into some of the weaknesses though, he lacks the optimal burst for recovery on vertical routes, potentially leaving space for separation. And while proficient in bail technique, his back pedal could be more fluid and less segmented. He also could show more enthusiasm and commitment in run defense with tackling that is adequate but not exceptional. He also occasionally struggles with a quick change of direction, impacting his effectiveness in certain cover situations, and overall would just benefit from adding muscle mass to improve his physicality, particularly when he has to go into press coverage. Overall, he is a top 5 corner in this draft, offering a compelling blend of physical attributes with elite recovery speed, coverage skills, and football IQ. His height and arm length, combined with his proficiency in various schemes, make him a versatile and competitive option for teams seeking an outside corner. While he shows room for improvement in burst and physicality, he's demonstrated growth in performance against top-tier talent, suggesting he has a high ceiling at the NFL level, and his skill set aligns well with a cover 3 based defense, and he also has the tools to adapt and thrive in various different schemes. I think the best fits of him are, of course, Jacksonville. They have to be mentioned, and if they want a guy who might perform better as a rookie, I could see them taking Wiggins. I think, Quinyon Mitchell will be the first corner off the board, and he definitely could fall to Jacksonville. But I think Nate Wiggins has the size and the speed to be able to perform maybe better day one compared to Quinyon Mitchell or Terrion Arnold, who have a couple issues in their game that they need to fix up that are a little bit more glaring. Philly is also in contention here, and they have to be. Of course, I mentioned how bad their cornerback room was last year, but I really like Detroit. I really like Detroit as an option here. And they need a corner, but I'm not really sure that Wiggins or the next guy on the list is going to be available. But if he is, I think he would be an amazing fit, and I think you need to snatch him up right away. I think he'd be a perfect fit there in that locker room and culture with Dan Campbell and the Detroit Lions. And Getting into our next guy, we have Dejean out of Iowa. A guy I have a late first round grade on, 6'3", 223 pounds, 21 years old. And last year he had 41 tackles, 5 pass breakups, and 2 interceptions. And he was a dynamic presence in Iowa's secondary. Cooper Dejean emerged from Battle Creek, Ida Grove High School as a highly touted recruit, earning a 3-star rating from ESPN and a 4-star from 24/7 Sports. And after joining Iowa, his trajectory has been absolutely impressive. As a freshman, he saw limited action but managed 2 tackles and 11 snaps. His sophomore year, he had jumped up to 12 games with 57 tackles, 11 assists, 22 stops, 5 pass breakups, 4 picks, and alongside a QB rating when targeted of 55.6. His junior year further solidified his prowess with 30 tackles, 7 assists, 10 stops, 3 pass breakups, 2 interceptions, and an outstanding QB rating when targeted of 40.6 over 10 games. His accolades include being a finalist for the Bronco Nagurski Trophy and the Jim Thorpe Award, and achieving consensus All-American status in 2023. Getting into his strengths, he's another guy who made Bruce Spellman's freak list, and he made it at number 14. He wrote the former high school quarterback, who also lettered 3 times in basketball, track, and baseball each, won the Iowa State long jump title with 23 7.5 inches in the 100 meter, and has continued to get more explosive since he's been in college. Going into that athletic ability, he possesses rare mass and frame density for a corner and has very good length to go along with it. He's a bigger guy. He's the bigger corner. He's the biggest corner out of the guys on this list. He also showcases great initial burst when triggering on plays, veering to match wide receivers, and he's a fleet-footed mover with exceptional corrective twitch and recovery athleticism, and he boasts attractive long track recovery and gap closing speed, hawking in front of balls. He can also snap into phase and realign himself to trail wide receiver fades and seam routes, and has a short area of freedom to adjust his tempo while studying and phase tracking. He's an extremely natural zone defender with a smooth backpedal and fluid corrective feel. With disciplined technique, size, and short area mobility, he can play the slot or the boundary. Getting into some of his weaknesses, he sometimes loses his balance when sinking to match and whip and out routes, and his muscle-bound frame prevents him from fully sinking and redirecting on occasion. He doesn't quite have elite fluidity and hip freedom, experiencing 180-degree delays, and at times he can better channel recovery speed out of transitions to close gaps. Occasional wasted motion and pressed man can tug him too far off the line in open space, and while his position versatility may be viewed as an asset, it may lead him to be viewed as more of a safety rather than a pure corner. And also, we have to talk about the injury concerns. He fractured a fibula in his left leg while practicing back in November, and although he's been fully cleared 3 months after surgery, he did not run at the combine, although he did run at his pro day. To conclude, Cooper Dejean is a potential first-round pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, and his ability in zone defense and effectiveness in space suggests he'll make an immediate impact in the NFL. He's ideal for zone and off-man schemes, boasting strong space management and quick reactions, and though not the most fluid due to his size, Dejean's athletic and disciplined play in press man scenarios stands out. His ability to adapt to various defensive roles, including special teams, position him as well as a multifaceted asset for any NFL team. Dejean's combination of physicality, instinctual play, and ball skills make him a nice addition to any secondary in today's NFL, and he may ultimately wind up being viewed as a safety rather than a corner and could fall in the draft because of it. But I think the best fit here, where I think a lot of people are mocking him, is to the Green Bay Packers. They need a versatile guy in their secondary, and whether he's a corner or a safety, I think he'll fit in just right in the green and yellow. Tampa Bay is also an interesting option because they traded Carlton Davis to Detroit, so the only top guy left is Jamel Dean. But while it's not realistic, Baltimore would be a really fun option for me. I know, when we talk about best fits, we gotta talk about the realistic place for them to go. But Baltimore would be really fun because a guy who could potentially do it all, like Kyle Hamilton, that duo, if they were to pick him up, would be extremely fun to watch. I don't think that's gonna happen, but hey, who knows? And I apologize for earlier. My dog was barking at me because it is his time to go for a walk, but we have to finish. We got to go through it. We got to fight through it. All right, and getting into our number 5 prospect, we have Kool-Aid McKinstry out of Alabama. Another guy I have a first-round grade on. He is 6 foot, 199 pounds, 21 years old, and last year he had 32 tackles, 7 pass breakups, but 0 interceptions. And Quinyon McKinstry, or known as Kool-Aid to most people, made a name for himself in high school at Pinson Valley. With a 4-star recruit rating from ESPN and a 5-star from 24/7, he scored 13 total touchdowns in his senior season. These feats didn't go unnoticed, earning him Alabama's Mr. Football title and Defensive Player of the Year by USA Today. He picked the University of Alabama to continue playing football in his home state, and as a freshman, he played 11 games and took 479 snaps at corner. And he had 10 tackles, 13 assists, 3 stops, 1 pass breakup, and an INT, with a QB rating of 79.7 when targeted. In 2022, he upped his game as a sophomore, playing in 12 games, totaling 794 snaps, and recorded 29 tackles, 6 assists, and 7 stops, 13 pass breakups, and another interception. And his QB rating when throwing his way dropped way down to 59.0, showing his growth as a corner. And Kool-Aid is known for his athletic skills and cool persona, hence the nickname from his grandma. His journey from high school to the Crimson Tide saw him shine defensively and as a punt returner with 332 yards, second in D1, and a 15.8 yard average, and he's becoming a promising prospect overall in professional football. Getting to his strengths, he exhibits exceptional awareness in zone coverage. He consistently reads and reacts to the quarterback well and unfolds plays with ease. He also boasts impressive length, adeptly leveraging to it to disrupt passes and intimidate receivers with his extended reach. He's also admirably skilled in bump and run, utilizing foot quickness and hip fluidity to mirror and challenge receivers instantly. He also demonstrates remarkable ball skills, particularly when facing the quarterback, frequently contesting and disrupting pass attempts effectively. He's also physical and authoritative at the route peak, especially when receivers attempt to assert dominance through aggressive play. He also exudes a composed demeanor even when in disarray, maintaining poise and making necessary adjustments without appearing flustered. He also manifests as a potent communicator within Saban's defense, ensuring teammates are positioned accurately for diverse zone match coverage schemes. And he also provides that added value in the return game, showcasing explosive punt return skills that complement his defensive prowess. Getting into some of his weaknesses though, he does allow wide receivers to stack him deep, and he needs to tighten vertical phase and deny deep ball leverage to mitigate NFL level aerial threats. He also struggles against physical route runners, especially on sharp breaks, and must sharpen that mirroring against agile physical receivers in the short immediate game. Red zone patience and play recognition can elevate tendencies to bite on fakes or misreads near pay dirt, need retooling. And he also displays choppy transitions and bail technique during zone looks, hips and pedal need smoothing to stifle comebacks with curls effectively. He also walks a fine line with downfield physicality and must dial back hand fighting to avoid drawing the laundry on Sundays. Overall, he brings a compelling mix to the table, and there's no doubt his ceiling is very high at the next level. This guy shows up on tape, and those 16 defended passes in the SEC are not a fluke. Those are elite ball skills and anticipation converging. And a couple of notes, his physicality and press and the knack for denying the deep ball and fluidity of movement all pop off the tape. He's got the tangible stuff you can't coach, but he's got a few technique refinements ahead to shine against the pros. Versatility is where he can pay dividends for a lot of NFL schemes. He's shown the ability to switch it up, playing both outside and sliding into the slot without missing a beat. His reactive athleticism gives him a leg up as well, but that transition from college to dealing with NFL route trees and seasoned wideouts will test those skills. He's got the motor, but how it fires against NFL caliber receivers is the real query. On the IQ side, he's got that field general vibe. The kid's not shy about aligning his guys, calling out assignments, and stepping into that on-field leadership role, critical stuff in high-stakes situational football. This isn't just athleticism, it's being a student of the game, and that's going to resonate with a lot of defensive coordinators looking for a plug-and-play option in the secondary. Lastly, that added flavor of being a threat in the turn game, that's bonus points. Teams love a guy who can flip the field, and McKinstry's shown that he's got the chops there too. So while he's primed to offer something special at corner, that special teams tick adds another layer to his draft appeal. Smart Money says that he's a day one guy in the pre-draft process. As long as it's all good and dandy, he's going to turn heads in camp. It's not just a matter of how fast. He's going to turn heads in camp. It's just a matter of how fast he adapts to the next level. When looking at his best fits, Detroit is the best fit for me, in my opinion. I also like Arizona and San Francisco. Both of those teams have needs at corner, of course, but they also could use a guy like Kool-Aid who has a ton of moxie and, of course, the ability as a punt returner. Getting into our number 6 guy, we have TJ Tampa out of Iowa State, a guy I have a second round grade on. 6'1", 189 pounds, 22 years old, and last year he had 44 tackles, 7 pass breakups, 2 interceptions. And he has been a cornerstone of the Cyclones defense for a while now, showcasing a blend of size, agility, and technical prowess that sets him apart as a top cornerback prospect for the draft. Originating from St. Petersburg, Florida, DJ Tampa developed his skills at Lakewood High School, playing at both sides of the ball. His transition from special teams contributor to a full-time starter was marked by significant growth, culminating in second-team All-Big 12 honors in 2022 and a robust performance in 2023. In 2022, he played 12 games and added 640 snaps, had 38 tackles, 10 assists, 14 stops, had 8 pass breakups, 1 pick, and gave a QB rating of 70.7. And as a senior, he also played 12 games, played 747 snaps, had 44 tackles, 5 assists, and made 14 stops, and in coverage had 6 pass breakups, 2 interceptions, and surrendered an outstanding QB rating when targeted of 54.8. Getting into his strengths, he has impressive size and length for the cornerback position, augmented by long arms and a strong frame, enabling effective pass coverage and disruption of receivers. He also exhibits fluid hip movement and quick acceleration, allowing for seamless transitions and the ability to close on the ball rapidly. He utilizes excellent positioning and hand usage throughout routes to maintain close coverage that demonstrates adept ball skills and playing the trajectory and timing interceptions well. He also brings a physical presence to run defense, using his size and strength to impact beyond just pass coverage, and also shows scheme versatility, effectively playing in both man and zone coverages, and possesses the girth and length needed for impactful playmaking. As a former two-way high school player, Tampa has developed a keen sense of the game, contributing his high football IQ and on-field awareness. He's also noted for his ability to diagnose plays really quick and react, adding a dynamic layer to his defensive capabilities. And lastly, he's a strong tackler in the open field, showcasing good fundamentals and physicality, though there's room for improvement and consistency. Getting into some of his weaknesses, he sometimes displays inconsistency in pad level, affecting his quickness and directional changes, and although he is a willing and physical tackler, the technique can lapse, particularly in wrapping up to secure tackles. His aggressive play style can lead to overcommitment and unnecessary risks, potentially allowing opponents to capitalize on big plays. And his transition fluidity and change of direction against quick, agile receivers can be areas of improvement as well. And lastly, he needs to refine his hand usage and maintain discipline in press coverage to maximize his effectiveness without drawing penalties. Overall, his size and press coverage skills stand out, offering the physicality to jam receivers at the line and disrupt routes early. His success in both man and zone schemes at Iowa State, combined with his ball skills, make him an impressive candidate for teams looking to bolster their secondary. However, his technique, especially as a tackler, and maintaining lower pad levels, will need refinement to ensure he can handle the step up to the next level. Tampa's aggressive play style and willingness to engage physically in both coverage and run support are double-edged swords. While they contribute to his impactful presence on the field, they also expose him to the risk of missed tackles and penalties, areas the NFL coaching will need to address. His inclination to take risks and coverage can lead to big plays, but also big gains for the offense, necessitating a balance between aggression and discipline in his approach. Ultimately, he offers a compelling combination of attributes and potential that can see him contribute early in his NFL career. His play at the next level will hinge on his ability to adapt and refine his technique, particularly against the diverse and sophisticated route trees he will face. If he can address these coachable weaknesses, Tampa has the upside to develop into a key player within an NFL secondary, leveraging his height, weight, and speed matchup strength and coverage to become a dominant player. Teams drafting him will do so with the expectation of investment in his development, aiming to maximize his outstanding physical tools. He has all the talent and athletic ability to be an excellent starting outside corner in the pro game. Getting into his best fits, I really like Jacksonville here, of course, and coincidentally Tampa for the Buccaneers if they don't go corner in round 1. Buffalo is also a fit I find interesting. They are arguably set at corner this year, but I would like them to add one more guy that could fill out the cornerback room in year 1, but make the big step up in year 2. Getting into our first true safety on this list, we have Tyler Nubin out of Minnesota, a guy I have going into the second round. Although he could go in the first, it would not surprise me if that happened. He is 6'1", 199 pounds, 22 years old, and last year he had 53 tackles, 4 pass breakups, and 5 interceptions. And Tyler Nubin comes from St. Charles North High School and was rated a 3-star recruit by ESPN and a 4-star by 24/7 Sports. And in 2019, as a freshman, Nubin saw action in 4 games and played a total of 26 snaps. He recorded 2 tackles, no assists, no stops, had 2 pass breakups, no picks, but although allowed only a 39.6 QB rating when targeted, so really, really good. And as a sophomore, he played 7 games, 402 snaps, 36 tackles, 7 assists, and had 7 stops. And in coverage, no pass breakups, but 1 interception, and a QB rating targeted of 88.6. As a junior, he played in 13 games and contributed on 650 snaps, 40 tackles, 8 assists, 11 stops, had 3 pass breakups, 3 interceptions, and gave up an elite QB rating of targeted, but the lowest that we've seen on this list so far of 21.5, which is insane. And then in 2022, as a senior, he saw action in 11 games while playing 570 snaps, logging 43 tackles, 9 assists, 20 stops, and had 4 pass breakups, 4 interceptions, and surrendered a QB rating of 41.3. And then last year, as a 5th-year senior, he played in 12 games, 768 snaps, 43 tackles, 15 assists, made 13 stops, had 4 pass breakups, 5 interceptions, and surrendered an elite QB rating. Mind you, broke the record 2 times, allowing only 17.5. His tenure at Minnesota was marked by his impactful play, amassing a record number of interceptions and securing multiple honors, including first-team All-Big Ten recognitions and second-team All-American honors. Getting to his strengths, he boasts a strong, proportional frame ideal for the safety role, complemented by a physical play style that does not shy away from contact. He also displays exceptional explosiveness and closing speed, crucial for downhill support and disrupting passing lanes. He also has fluid movement and adaptability in coverage, combined with strong ball tracking skills and proficiency in zone defense. Overall, he also exhibits superior cognitive skills, being an elite processor and active communicator, vital for handling split safety responsibilities and maintaining defensive cohesion. He also illustrates impressive instinctual play, having a natural feel for positioning and leveraging space both in run, support, and pass coverage, and has strong tackling ability and use of his hands, capable of taking on blocks and delivering impactful hits, ensuring minimal extra yards for ball carriers. He also possesses the swagger and confidence on the field, which translates into a high energy and enforcement mentality during the game. And he's also versatile in his positioning, capable of playing effectively from the box as a deep defender in single high coverage or in the slot against tight ends. Getting into some of his weaknesses though, he lacks the elite explosiveness and long speed, which can limit his range of recovery speed in certain situations, and shows less fluidity and speed in transitions due to a high hipped frame, which can challenge him in space against more agile receivers. His footwork can be choppy when playing deep, resulting in below average change of direction and limited range from the middle of the field. And sometimes he adopts poor angles towards the ball, leading to missed tackles or misjudged routes and balls in the air. And lastly, he may rely on physicality excessively in man coverage, leading to grabbing and tugging at receivers to maintain leverage, which of course can lead to flags. Overall, though, he is a very promising safety prospect in the NFL, possessing a solid build and a physical playing style that make him effective against both the run and pass, and his ability to quickly read plays and react, coupled with his elite skills in zone coverage, allow him to execute complex defensive strategies effectively. His leadership on the field is also a significant asset, although he does face challenges as he transitions. His speed and explosiveness are not top tier, which may put him at a disadvantage against faster, more agile receivers, and his physical build, while advantageous in certain ways, may limit his agility and speed in transitions, potentially making him vulnerable in the open field. These areas will require focused improvement to ensure that he can compete at the NFL level, although his skill set in total, particularly his ability to blanket tight end, make him a very attractive option. He can make immediate impact, especially in zone coverage or close to the line of scrimmage, and with proper coaching to refine his technique and a defensive scheme that capitalizes on his strengths, Nubin has the potential to become an impact contributor in NFL secondary year 1. The best fits I like for him, the Green Bay Packers, if they decide to take him in round 1, if they decide that they don't want Cooper Dejean and they want Tyler Nubin, it would not surprise me at all. I would say overall it's a reach, but like I said, I understand it, I get it. But I really like the Raiders and the Bears. The Raiders starters both have 1 year left on their deals, and Chicago just released Eddie Jackson, and both of them could really use a guy like Tyler Nubin. And during the pre-draft process at the Combine, and he did mention Chicago as a dream scenario. So for them, could this be a match made in heaven with their second round pick? Who knows? And oh my goodness, we have a little bit of a problem. Give me 1 second, I apologize. Next up on our list, we have Ennis Rakestraw Jr. out of Missouri, another guy I have a second round pick on. He is 5'11", 183 pounds, and only 21 years old. And last year he had 35 tackles, 4 pass breakups, 0 picks. And he hails from Dallas, Texas, emerging as a standout corner for the Tigers, joining the team as a 3-star recruit in 2020. And he quickly made his presence felt on the field. Despite facing a torn ACL in 2021 that sidelined him for the majority of the year, he demonstrated resilience and skill upon his return, contributing significantly to one of the nation's top cornerback tandems alongside Chris Abrams-Drain. In 2022, he played in 12 games, had 660 snaps, chalked up 30 tackles, 9 assists, and had 15 stops. And in the secondary, he had 10 pass breakups and an interception and gave up a QB rating of 83.3. In 2023, he saw action in only 9 games while playing 466 snaps. He had 26 tackles, 7 assists, and made 10 stops, and had 2 pass breakups, made no picks, and surrendered an unimpressive QB rating when targeted of 96.9. Getting into his strengths, he is a very instinctual player with a keen understanding of the game, showcasing an ability to anticipate plays and react swiftly. He exhibits superior man coverage skills, using a blend of physicality and technique to disrupt opposing receivers, and he has remarkable twitch and agility to allow for quick direction changes, staying on the hip of receivers throughout their routes. His length is also a significant advantage, enabling him to contest catches effectively and disrupt passing lanes. He also displays exceptional football IQ, identifying offensive schemes and making smart plays in both zone and man coverage. And despite his lighter frame, he shows a willingness to engage physically, especially run support and tackling where he is close to elite. Getting into some of the things that I'd like to see him improve upon, the big thing is that he ran slower than what we expected at the combine with the 4.51 40 and a very poor broad jump, so he may not be the athlete we initially anticipated. His light frame could also hinder his effectiveness against more physically imposing receivers and in shedding blockers, and his zone coverage skills are just underdeveloped. He may be a liability to throw to in a complex zone scheme as a rookie, and his limited ball production raises questions about his ability to convert pass deflections into interceptions. Overall, though, he has solidified himself as a premier man coverage corner out of Missouri, showcasing elite press skills with a natural ability to shadow receivers downfield. His tape reveals a corner with fluid hips, quick feet, and an aggressive punch to the line, disrupting routes from the snap. While in zone, his skill set is maximized in coarse man coverage, and his physical play extends beyond pass defense, and he's a willing, effective tackler and run support, demonstrating the ability to shed blocks and make plays in the backfield. He does have a relatively high ceiling, especially for teams that want a man corner, and his proficiency there combined with his physicality against the run ticks essential boxes for a starting caliber corner. Despite his concerns with his lighter frame and his college production against SEC competition, his collegiate production against SEC competition speaks volumes about his ability to handle the physical demands of the next level. His readiness to contribute in a run defense adds another layer to his profile, of course, and this makes him overall a 3-down corner, capable of bolstering a defensive unit's effectiveness against both the pass and the run. As the NFL continues to evolve into a pass-heavy league, corners like Rakestraw, who can dominate in man coverage and hold their own in run support, become valuable assets. Overall, I like Detroit here if they do not get the top guys and he falls in the second round. I also like a team like Houston, who are a couple pieces away from being a top-tier defense, so adding a third corner there would really be nice for me. But KC is very interesting because they traded away Butters to the Titans, so they need a corner to pair with Trent McDuffie, and I doubt he'll fall to the end of the second round, but who knows. Getting into our 9th guy, we have Javon Bullard from Georgia, another guy I have a second round grade on. And as you can see all of his statistics and his measurements on screen. I forgot to write them in my script, where I sincerely apologize, but they are on screen for you to read. And getting into his bio, he comes from Baldwin High School and was rated a 3-star prospect by ESPN 24/7 Sports. As a freshman, he played in 11 games and had 138 snaps at corner, where he recorded only 8 tackles, 4 assists, and 4 stops. And as a sophomore, he played 12 games and logged 540 snaps, 35 tackles, 8 assists, had 23 stops, 4 pass breakups, and a QB rating when targeted of 86.3. In 2023, he switched to safety and played in 11 games, contributing on 555 snaps, 45 tackles, 12 assists, and added 13 stops, and And in the secondary, 5 pass breakups, 2 picks, and gave up an incredible QB rating when targeted of 36.6. And last year, he was 2023 AP All-SEC second team, with 2022 Defensive MVP both in the Peach Bowl and the National Championship game. Getting into his strengths, he's an aware zone corner who also shows promise in man coverage, flashing physical hand usage at the line and straight line speed to stay with receivers downfield. He's also elite in man coverage, probably the best man defender among safeties in the entire draft class. And he does a good job of getting his head around in time when playing with his back to the line of scrimmage and has the ability to cover quickness underneath. He can also get up under receiver's chin and has the speed to flip his hips and run downfield. Bullard has quick hands to jostle receivers early, but he's at his best peeking into the backfield. He exhibits elite athleticism with exceptional balance and agility, enabling effective coverage and sideline range as a deep safety, and his impressive football IQ and route recognition, adept at anticipating plays and quarterback intentions, add on to his versatility. He also has strong ball skills, capable of high pointing and intercepting passes with precise hand usage, and his experience at both quarterback and safety add on to that versatility, and he's adept in man and zone coverage. He's an instinctive playmaker and demonstrates aggressiveness and competitiveness, particularly in run defense and physicality and engagement. He's unafraid to confront blocks and challenge ball carriers directly. He has outstanding ability to play in space, leveraging fluid hips and quick feet to maintain coverage integrity. But getting into his weaknesses, he is inconsistent in his tackling technique, sometimes resorting to ankle tackles and failing to secure his wraps. And his concerns over his physical durability and size question his longevity against the NFL's physical demands. And he also has previous legal issues and a history of minor injuries, which may raise concerns about his off-field decision-making and physical resilience. And also he has some ambiguity in an optimal NFL role, with his versatility potentially complicating things in traditional defensive schemes. Overall, though, his path to the NFL draft showcases a blend of athleticism, intelligence, and versatility that few prospects can match. Despite concerns regarding his size and occasional tackling inconsistencies, Bullard's impact on the field is undeniable. His overall ability in coverage is elite, and his strength and run support make him a serious asset. The questions surrounding his Bullard primarily focus on his physical stature and how it translates to the NFL's rigorous demands. However, the evolving nature of the league, with an increased emphasis on speed, agility, and versatility, plays into Bullard's strengths. His proven track record against top college talent suggests that he possesses the requisite skills to adapt and thrive. Teams in need of a dynamic defensive back who can cover, tackle, and play with high football IQ will find Bullard's attributes aligning closely with the modern NFL defensive schemes. As teams increasingly value players who can do all these things, his skill set offers the potential for significant early impact, and the key for him will be to demonstrate that he can do all these things at a professional level, overcoming any concerns about the size with his heart, intelligence, and playmaking ability. For a team willing to invest in his unique blend of skills, Bullard could prove to be one of the highest upside DBs in this draft. 3 teams are the best fits for me outright: Philly, KC, and San Fran, and if any of these contenders want to fill a safety need with a guy with this versatility, this is your guy. While many teams need a safety, I think a former national champion will fit right at home with teams that are at the top of the league. And last but not least, getting into our last guy on the list, another Georgia guy, Kamari Lassiter, another guy I have a second round grade on. And he's 6 foot, 186 pounds, and only 21 years old. And last year he had 37 tackles, 8 pass breakups, 0 picks. And he's a Savannah, Georgia native. And he began making waves at American Christian Academy in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And not only did he light up the gridiron, but Lassiter also showcased athletic versatility as a 4-sport athlete, playing football, basketball, baseball, and track. In football, he was a double threat, shining both as a defensive back and wide receiver, and he was recognized as a 4-star recruit. ESPN might have missed ranking him, but both 24/7 Sports and Rivals acknowledged his prowess, positioning him just outside the nation's top 175 players. Upon committing to Georgia, Lassiter hit the ground running. As a true freshman in 2021, he was immediately utilized not only as a backup corner, but also making his mark on special teams. And this year, he saw action in 9 games, totaling 158 snaps at corner, and his freshman stat line had 9 tackles, 1 assist, 4 stops, 4 breakups, and an interception, allowing a 76.8 passer rating. By his sophomore year, his role grew, starting in all 15 games, and he logged 710 snaps for the Bulldogs. And this year, he had 31 tackles, 4 assists, and 15 stops, and added 2 pass breakups, although he didn't record any interceptions, and quarterbacks had a slightly elevated rating of 83.7 when targeting him. Overall, though, that solid performance in his sophomore year earned him a spot on the All-SEC team as he transitioned into his junior year, where he absolutely played his best year. Getting into his strengths, he's a very fluid athlete with the ability to match perimeter wideouts in the NFL. His transitional quickness is a standout trait, and he also displays an impressive vertical route coverage due to his swift transitional quickness. He's also highly effective on the perimeter and showcases enthusiasm and eagerness in quick and screen games, and this makes him also a reliable tackler, known for his delivering powerful hits when coming downhill and engaging in run support. He brings valuable experience from special teams and has the potential to earn early reps or even a starting role in a base defense, and exhibits sharp instinct in zone coverage and efficiently passes off routes in match situations. He also shows strong hands, especially at catch points where he can't get his head around, and finishes plays even with his lean frame, and demonstrates aggressive physicality at the line, dictating route stems with noticeable ferocity. Getting into some of his weaknesses, while he displays a physical play style, his wiry build might not match up well against bigger NFL perimeter receivers like a DK Metcalf, and he also shows a tendency to rely on grabbing to enhance disruptiveness, which results in penalties, especially during his first year. He needs to develop his ball skills more and has a history of losing assignments when transitioning or looking back for the football, and despite his aggression, he is at risk of being overpowered by more physical runners due to his lean physique. Overall, though, he stands out as a notable perimeter corner, showcasing a unique blend of physicality and instinctual play. His coverage fluidity is noteworthy, and while he has areas to refine, the increased reps will only aid in honing these game-changing skills. Given the current defensive trend towards two high safety shells, his concerns about his vertical speed becomes less of a focal point, and while he flashes first-round caliber moments on tape, his size and athletic profile might peg him, well, it does peg him for me as a day 2 pick. His schematic acumen makes him adaptable to various NFL defenses. However, despite his football IQ and capabilities, it's worth noting that his athletic ceiling might prevent him from joining the ranks of the league's elite cornerbacks. Some of the best fits I have for him are the Cardinals, the Chargers, and the Texans. Lassiter is a guy who is solid, but he probably won't turn into an elite number 1 corner. But that's perfectly okay, because he is a guy who could be a solid B player for a long time, and honestly, all the 3 of these teams would need more consistent corner play, so I think Lassiter would be a solid move for each of them. Alright, and for the final part of this super long episode, I decided to do a full first round mock draft. I didn't do any trades, although there's definitely going to be trades in the first round. I just simply can't predict what's going to happen, so we're gonna pretend that there's no trades here, but I think I did a pretty good job for the most part for my first time really taking a crack at this. And the first 3 picks, not really much to say about there. Caleb Williams, Drake May, Jaden Daniels. Caleb Williams is QB1, Jaden Daniels is QB2, but I think that the Commanders are going to take Drake May because they have a defensive head coach in Dan Quinn. They're going to want a quarterback that's more of a pure thrower than compared to Jaden Daniels, which is more of a dual threat. And number 4, the Cardinals are going to take Marvin Harrison Jr. And I'm sorry, I know that you have to entertain the trade and entertain the possibility of a team trading up to get J.J. McCarthy here, but honestly, I think if you're Arizona, I think you're an idiot for passing up on one of the biggest or most highly touted wide receiver prospects we've ever seen. For sure, and potentially giving up that opportunity. But with that, we go to number 5 at the Chargers. They also need a receiver, so I have them taking Malik Neighbors out of LSU. And then the Giants also need a receiver, although I don't think he's that high of a prospect. Although he is a top 10 talent, though, they're going to take Rome Odunze, which leads to Tennessee at 7, taking offensive tackle Joe Alt out of Notre Dame. And at number 8, I have the Falcons taking Jared Verse. I think he's the best edge rusher in this draft, arguably the best defensive player. And at number 9, the Bears don't have an opportunity to get a receiver for Caleb Williams with the right value, but they do need an edge rusher, so I have them taking Dallas Turner out of Alabama. At number 10, I have Olaf Ashnu going to the Jets. The Jets do need left tackle and right tackle, but I would assume that left tackle is a bigger need, and overall, I think it's a bigger need than right tackle. So Olaf Ashnu has a better value there for the Jets than maybe Talisa Fuaga, who we'll have going a few picks later. And number 11, they get J.J. McCarthy. The Vikings get J.J. McCarthy without having to trade up, and I don't think they're going to need to. I think he'll be there at 11 where they're sitting. And number 12, this is where I talked about Denver being a sleeper pick, because they have a bunch of other needs. I don't just where they're slated to pick at and the value of those players at those needs. I think they're going to be taking the best player available. And while I think Quinyon Mitchell is the best corner in the draft, I think they're going to take Terrion Arnold because of that Alabama connection with Patrick Surtain. And then number 13, we have Talisa Fuaga finally going. They have Colton Miller at left tackle, but they need a right tackle, so Fuaga fills that need just fine. And same thing here, J.C. Latham out of Alabama. They have a left tackle in Trevor Petting they're trying to develop, so get a giant monster guy in J.C. Latham to throw him at right. And the Colts was really interesting. I have them taking Brock Bowers because they need another weapon. And I could have them taking a corner here, but I think at this point, Brock Bowers' draft slide stops, and they definitely could use his service as well. They need another pass-catching weapon, and Brock Bowers gives them just that. And number 16, this was interesting. I have them the Seahawks taking Jackson Powers-Johnson out of Oregon, and I think it's because they need a center. They have 2 young tackles. I think it'd be smart for them to build on the offensive line, although they could take an edge rusher here. I think their offensive line is just more critical. If they can get that together, then they have a top 10 offense on paper, in my opinion. And then at 17, there's Jacksonville taking Quinyon Mitchell out of Toledo. He manages to fall there, and they get a good athletic guy with high upside. And with the Bengals, they take Omarius Mims out of Georgia. They desperately need a tackle, and he is the best prospect available at this point at right tackle. And that leaves Laiatu Latu falling to the Rams. And although I think he's the second best edge rusher in the draft, definitely I could see Chicago why they took Dallas Turner, because he has more upside. But Laiatu Latu falls to the Rams. A lot of people have him going there. And then at 20, I have Troy Fautanu. Although Troy Fautanu might be seen as a guard, I think they need to try him out at left tackle before doing that. And this gives them an opportunity to develop and fix that blind side up. And then 21, Byron Murphy going to the Miami Dolphins to fill up the hole of Christian Wilkins. And then number 22, Nate Wiggins going to the Philadelphia Eagles. They finally get a corner that can really help bolster that secondary. And then they get the Vikings with their second first-round pick, get Jerzon Newton or Johnny Newton out of Illinois, filling a big need on the defensive line. And then for the Cowboys, they have them taking Tyler Guyton out of Oklahoma. They need a replacement for Tyler Biadasz, can't pronounce that name correctly, so that gives them an opportunity here to fill a hole. And then I have Cooper Dejean going to Green Bay. They end up falling there, and with the top corners gone, outside of Kool-Aid McKinstry, I think the Bucs are going to take Trop Robinson. Now that they release Shaquille Barrett, I think Shaquille Barrett retired, I can't remember, but they do need another edge guy, so this allows them to pick that guy up. And then right after will be Kool-Aid McKinstry. So they get a really good offensive and defensive prospect, Arizona. And Buffalo, they need a receiver, so I have them taking Bryce Thomas Jr. Not much explanation there. The Lions were a really interesting one because just kind of like Denver, their needs didn't match, and the value of the players didn't match up where they were picking. So I have them taking Darius Robinson out of Missouri. He could go in the first round. I would not be surprised if it happened, but I have them picking him. And then number 30, Baltimore needs a receiver, so I have them drafting Edgerrin Mitchell out of Texas, a guy that has a little bit of a different play style than Zay Flowers, so it gives them a little bit more versatility of what they can do on offense. And surprisingly, I have the 49ers taking Kingsley Suamaitai out of BYU. I wanted to put Jordan Morgan here, but the more research I did on him after my offensive tackle breakdown video, realized that Jordan Morgan is more of a guard than he is a tackle after looking at the film. So they need a tackle, and the next best available is Kingsley Suamaitai. And lastly, I have Xavier Worthy going to the Chiefs. The guy out of Texas who ran a 4.21 at the Combine makes too much sense. The Chiefs love to use fast receivers, and Xavier Worthy gives them just that.
All right, and we are back, and that is going to do it for me for this episode. Hope you guys enjoyed all the content covering today and the NFL Draft entirely so far. And after Rants 4, well, I'll get into that in Rants 4 when you guys watch it. But that'll do it for covering prospects. And the next time we're going to be talking about these players will be after the draft. So it'll be a couple more weeks before we get back into the swing of things again. But I hope you guys enjoyed everything. And I will see you guys in the next one.